Hi, everybody. Today, the Arts Commission, Public Art Committee, and Metro Arts staff are joining by conference call. In a moment, we'll roll call all members present. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted to the Metro Nashville YouTube channel, as well as the Arts Commission Nashville.gov site, no later than 48 hours after the meeting. All votes will be made by roll call. All action items voted on at today's meeting will be reconfirmed at the next in-person meeting of the committee. Now, I encourage all participants on this call to stay muted. If any committee members are having technical difficulties with any of these functions, please let me know before we proceed. One other thing to note is that we will be taking motions and questions by the raise hand feature. So you'll want to take just a moment to locate that feature if you don't know where it is. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, well, I would like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Before I take roll, I'd like to acknowledge a special guest that's joining us today. Welcome, Councilwoman Nancy Van Rees. We appreciate you taking the time to join us.
Thank you very much. As the new chair of Parks, Libraries, and Arts, I'm going to do my best to attend as many meetings that Metro Arts has available, and I appreciate everyone's hard work, and for those that are volunteering their work, know that your city is very grateful.
Excellent. Thank you so much. For each committee member, I'm gonna take roll, and for each committee member, I'm gonna say your name and are you present. If you can just unmute yourself and say present for the record, that would be very helpful. Alejandro?
Present.
David?
Present.
Donna?
Present.
Omari?
Present.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I'm going to call for a motion that this meeting agenda constitutes essential business of this body and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans considering the COVID-19 outbreak and is permitted under the Governor's Executive Order number 60. I need someone to propose a motion to this effect, and please remember to state your full name when making a motion or a second. Alejandro?
I'd like to make a motion to call this meeting as essential business.
Excellent. And will you just say your name for the record?
Alejandro Osierto is making this motion.
Thank you. Donna?
Gilliam seconds that motion.
Excellent. Now we're going to go through a roll call vote. If anyone has any comments on this motion, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we'll move through very quickly move through a roll call vote to approve this motion. Alejandro?
Approve.
David? Donna? Omari?
Approve.
And I am Nikki, and I approve as well. Donna, will you just lower your hand for me so that I make sure I call on you if you mean to have it up? Thank you. Okay, I am going to, I guess, turn it over to Van, the Metro Public Art Manager, for a welcome.
Now that I am unmuted, well, this has been the most difficult transition. I am back at Metro Arts headquarters, and it took me like actually it's a lie. It took me a lot longer to adjust to working from home. Now I'm trying to acclimate myself back to office life, and it is a little awkward and a little clunky, so bear with me. It is so nice to see all of your wonderful faces virtually and hear your voice. And thank you, Councilmember Van Rees, for being with us. We are so excited that you're chairing the subcommittee and that you're going to be spending some extra time with us. I have my heartbreaking announcement that I'm going to share with you all. This is going to be Nikki's last meeting with us at the Public Art Committee and as our chair. because her family has an amazing opportunity that is going to bless them in many different ways. So she will actually be leaving Nashville. So Tupelo, Mississippi is getting one of my favorite families. I'm very jealous of what Tupelo is getting and what Nashville is losing. But Nikki, your leadership, not just at the PAC level, but also on the commission level, has been unparalleled. And I am just so grateful for the work that you've done alongside our team. You have been a champion of our equity work, both at the PAC level and especially at the commission level. And that will have a lasting impact on our work long after we have said our goodbyes. So I just want to recognize you. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough and how much I'll miss you. Please stay in touch. And if there's anything else the team wants to share, we were all equally as heartbroken, but excited for you guys, of course.
Thank you, Van. It is with a heavy heart that we say goodbye to Nashville. My husband got an amazing job opportunity in Tupelo, and so that is where we are headed. I already have plans to meet with my new council person and figure out whether there's an arts scene and an arts commission of sorts in Tupelo. Don't you worry, I will come visit lots and stay in tune and touch with what Metro Arts is doing. It's been a real privilege to be able to serve the city in this way. And I'm really bummed to not be able to watch, our current projects unfold from as the PAC chair. So thank you, Van, for those kind words. And yeah, I'm going to miss everybody and, keep on carrying the good work forward, folks.
Well, they are publicly noticed meetings, so you could always come back and see.
I'm gonna call in, and when Grace has to say, "Are there any phone calls?" It's gonna be me.
Oh, well, thank you, Nikki. We're ready to move. Are we moving on?
Yeah, Van, I think we can move right on to Madison Rising if you want.
Yep. Attilio?
Sure. All right, we're ready to begin. Thank you. And Nikki, I will say though, I will miss having you over. You've always been so cheerful, and you always kind of like lightened the mood and made it less, tense or nerve-wracking. It was always like speaking to a friend. I know we didn't get to hang out as much or anything, and I'm new still to Metro Arts, but you would be sadly missed. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you, Attilio. Well, we are now going to consider our first action item regarding Madison Rising, the Madison Rising project proposal, and welcome special guest Matthew Mazzotta. I'm going to pass it off to Art Project Coordinator Attilio Murga to start the presentation. Attilio, take it away.
Thank you, Nikki. Well, before I begin, Nikki already mentioned we do have our artist present, Matthew Mazzotta, and he will be presenting a little later in the presentation. But first, before we get started, I want to give a brief history on how we got here. A couple years back, PAC and Commission approved direct selection of Matthew Mazzotta for a two-phase Madison neighborhood residency. During 2008 and 2019, Matthew and Metro Arts hosted two outdoor living room community engagement events in Madison, and you'll hear more about his philosophy about the community engagements later on in the presentation. But this project is unique because we selected an artist prior to having a site location. We knew we needed someone who could be flexible, but more importantly, work well with the community on a deeper level, while also looking for the ideal site location. These are just some of the reasons why Matthew was selected. His unique engagement skills work very well in a project this complex, and he knows how to create transformative spaces within communities that end up with great results. After that, he gave us his proposal and the concept. We shared it with Metro staff, which we had great feedback and reception. Followed by in the summer of 2020, we did pass it over to our partners, such as the public library and our council member representatives. And so now after today, if we get approved by the COMPAC and then commission, phase 2 will begin with the design. And now with that being said, I'm going to pass this over to Matthew. Matthew, can you hear me and speak? Yeah, here.
Yep. But yeah, thank you so much, Theo, and everyone for allowing me to present this work. My name is Matthew Mazzotta. I work with communities and their public spaces. I also teach at MIT. All my work is based on research. So I wanted to share a video that kind of had a little compilation of how we arrived at the project of Madison Rising. Can I share my screen, or can someone on your side share it?
Absolutely. Brandon, would you mind making Matthew the presenter?
Okay, great. Share. Let's try this. All right, this video is about 6.5 minutes. Actually, it's actually 6 minutes long as far as I know. I'll play this. I think it will give us a nice context for how we came about the project and actually what its physical form is now. As Otilio said, this is a concept, and now we're going to be moving into the engineering and fabrication if everybody's thinking this is a great idea.
Once upon a time, before the advent of strip mall multiplexes, going to see a movie was a memorable experience. Movie studios and exhibitors would build grand palaces to show their films. Well, thanks to changing times, most of those palaces are gone.
Of the movie palace era, which started in the teens and went through the early 30s. And movies were the primary form of entertainment outside the home at that time. So the movie studios wanted to make these buildings just over the top beautiful and really wow the patrons as they walked in the front door.
Movies, which were still silent for the most part. But that was changing quickly.
You ain't heard nothing yet. Wait a minute, I tell you.
My project is called the Storefront Theater, and it's in Lyons, Nebraska. Basically, it's a facade that bends down over Main Street. Bleachers come out, a screen pulls in. It turns Main Street into a movie theater. I'm an artist, but I build buildings. This project came about through an investigation with the people. They told me how downtown was a center of community life and how that has been destroyed over time by these economies of scale and globalization that have pulled all these businesses away. They said, how can we revive it? And so our project took that as the focus. Once I learned that one of the buildings downtown was just a storefront, had no building behind it, that's when we started taking that as the site. I remember walking out in the middle of the night and thinking, this is actually 2 walls and a floor. And I actually could conceptualize it as a theater. They've had events that are anti-bullying. They've had movies and concerts. And recently I went to one where a very prominent Egyptian musician came and played Lyons, Nebraska. And the show before that was at the Kennedy Center in New York City. Architecture has an enormous power over how we feel about ourselves and how we relate to each other. I think architecture is expanding beyond the envelope. And I think it starts to think about who feels welcome into these spaces. That's what I call success, how the community appropriates the project. You can always make a gesture, but it doesn't really sing or fly until the community takes it and makes it their own.
Thank you for that, Matthew. At this point, I think we're just going to start with Q&A, unless, Matthew, you have something else in your presentation that you wanted to give?
No. Yeah, questions, that'd be great. Was everybody able to see everything?
Come again, I didn't hear you there, Matthew.
No, I just want to know if everybody was able to see the video.
Yes.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions? Wow, you floored him, Matthew.
Or comments, questions or comments, anything you'd like to share with Matthew. We know that that was a lot.
Or do we need time to process?
Hey, Matthew, or Talia, I see that Brandon is host again. I wonder if we could pull up just kind of that still, one of the PDFs of the actual tour. That might be a good place to kind of have on a landing.
Sure. Great. Can you go through that video and find it still on that end? I don't have anything queued up this second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or
if
I can do that.
No, well, so I'm the presenter, so I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
I will be.
Grace, if you want me to share.
Oh, and we have Nancy has raised her hand.
Oh, we did see that.
Hey, yeah, while you're looking that up, I also happen to be the council member where this fits, so I just wanted to let you guys know on this committee that the community feedback was very exciting, very intense. Although the video, some of the stills show conversations right there at the library. There were also several conversations, not only on the District 8 side of the road, but also in District 9. And I think that the community involvement was something that was significant. And although it's been a little while, not a month goes by that someone says, whatever happened to that guy that came by and asked questions about doing something? So I was able to see this video as part of the process of council member feedback, and have already provided some of my thoughts and concerns in the logistics of it, particularly being able to hear, because Gallatin Pike is an extremely busy road, and that bus stop is the most frequented bus stop in the entire WeGo system other than downtown. And so a lot of people get on and off the bus there, which is great because that activates the site. At the same time, there's a lot of people that are walking around down there. So I think that those are going to be some of the community questions, is just how logistically this could be pulled off, which I know is in part of the next parts of these conversations. But I just wanted to fill a little time while you guys set this up for conversation to let you know that it overwhelmingly has my support for the community activation, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we can pull it off.
Thank you, Councilmember.
So, Laurie, did you have a question?
Give you a little feedback. Yeah, conceptually, I thought it was really, really cool. Just thought it, interesting. Love the, just love the ability to have something outdoors that'll bring people together. I was wondering about the kind of stumbling blocks of maintaining, like maybe in past projects that Matthew might have run into, just as far as like building maintenance and that kind of whole levee system and all that. But as far as the idea and the concept, I really like it. Yeah, great work.
Oh, great, thank you. Just a quick response. So all the projects, we work with engineers and fabricators to build these. So it's always, stamped drawings and everything we need to do. The projects from my own personal, I always try to make sure they're safe, they're easy to maintain, and that they're easy to use. So that's like always the criteria going in. Yeah, we have done, with you guys saw the storefront theater. So it's basically almost the same exact thing, something vertical, wall goes vertical to horizontal. This one it's main phase is horizontal. So that's the only difference. There's hurdles in every project, but there's nothing that's screaming out at this point. Sometimes they're to do with, can the bus stop be moved 5 feet to the left? Maybe it can, maybe it can't. Maybe that's one of our hurdles. But right now, we've even been digging into the site as well for utilities and everything. So far, nothing's really popped up as anything not doable. And just to go back to Nancy, and Nancy, actually, I met her a couple years ago, and she was at those outdoor living rooms. We did one there and one at Amqui, if you guys are familiar with that in Madison. I was going to say something. I think I just... Oh, yeah, I want to talk about Nancy's point about the sound. So my wife and I were actually on the site because we didn't know. We knew that Madison, from our research, basically is designed around the automobile travel. That's what that place is about. Even when someone says, this is the downtown of Madison, you can fly by, you don't know where it is. That's not a good thing. And healthy cities, healthy towns, they're not designed like that anymore. It's all about pedestrian. It's all about getting out of your car. It's about spending time. So I like through all the conversations, realized like that's probably the biggest gesture we can give to Madison is a place where people can come together that's not car centric. And this happened to be one of the few green spaces on Gallatin where you actually could see green space and people can gather. So we went out there and we spent some time. We thought about doing it behind the library for a while, but then we realized this whole front yard actually is perfect. And yeah, the sound was fine for us. We were out there, we took a ton of photos, and this is where we started brainstorming the project. So I don't think we're going to have any problem with that in terms of sound and also space. And I know people are talking about COVID. I know some of my other projects are dealing with this. People ask, can we have seating that's not so close? And this particular project will have that built in because people will be able to bring blankets and their own seating and sit in the grass and spread out. So it actually could accommodate a ton of people, which is nice.
I will also mention, I think one of the most dynamic parts of this beautiful concept is that it's really democratizing public space, and of course that's what libraries do already. And so it feels like that's a really nice match. And it was, and Matthew will tell you, I fought him on the Gallatin noise concern. I did, but the visibility and to see the library and to have the pop-up theater in close proximity felt both conceptually important and it felt critical to what we were trying to achieve here, which was this new space that was a celebration of Madison's past and a place where the Madison future takes place. So where neighbors and business owners and residents come together and are just in community with one another, while still having kind of this lovely nostalgic nod to Madison and its rich history. We are going to spend a lot of time the next few months. In addition to talking to fabricators and engineers, we're going to be looking for partners to help us program this space. I do think that getting a few steps ahead of programming is going to be really important to the success and the kind of early adoption of this project from the community standpoint. In Matthew's a few of his other projects, people are able to rent those spaces for their own personal use. So thinking about workshops or family reunions or movie nights. Obviously, we have a great built-in partner with the library, so close, and AMQI. But there are a lot of really dynamic organizations based out of Madison, both organizations and individuals. So we're going to be putting a lot of time and energy towards thinking about who we need to start reaching out to, who we need to start building relationships with, and planning some exciting yet socially distanced safe events once we get this beautiful thing built.
Yeah, just to pick up on that. So programming is going to be basically where this thing shines. And yeah, I've produced other theaters and other communities, and have the library as the host, and on the property is just so good. I mean, my work is all research based, so this is fantastic that we're already at the library and that it is, yeah, a civic space, from its inherently. But I think if you guys have any thoughts as we develop programming, what we've been doing is digging into the history of what the programming was at the old theater. And there's some interesting things because there's a lot of live performance as well. And I guess there was, I can't remember the clans or whatever it was, but it was like these certain groups of people that would put on performances as these troops or whatever. And so that could be interesting to recreate something that had happened just down the street, because you guys know that the Madison Theater is very close to the site. But also, for new events, like what is Madison's space and what is it aspiring to be? I think this could be a site for a lot of learning, but also a lot of experience in terms of culture and the diversity of thought and all this kind of thing. Like, what will be the successful model of presentation? Will it pull upon music? Will it pull upon video? Will it pull upon, I guess even we were playing with the idea, I think the Madison Library, and I'm not sure if it's out of the bag, but I assume it is going to have an art program where they're going to be showing local artists. And I just thought that'd be pretty interesting to have an artist talk at this thing, where to give the space for an artist who might not have presented at that big of an audience before, be able to go, hey, my work's in the library now. I want to show you a little bit about my previous work, or however they want to discuss their ideas.
And I believe we have got a question from Amari. Amari, did you have a follow-up?
I think that was might been from his previous one.
Never put my hand down.
Any other comments or questions?
Well, guys, if there's no further discussion, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the staff motion. Attilio?
Yes. So Pac, can we flip over to the
Yeah. Brandon, would you mind making?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great. So action requested is staff recommends PAC approval of Madison Rise's public artwork design for the Madison Branch Library.
Thank you, Attilio. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Alejandro? If you would go ahead and say your name and then say the motion.
Sure. I'm Alejandro Rosierto. I'd like to make a motion to approve the Rise's public art design.
Super. Do I have a second? Donna? Donna, do you want to unmute and say your name?
Sorry, I'm Donna William, and I Madison Rising public art.
Thank you, Donna. Any further comments on the motion? Seeing none, I will move to a vote on the list of on the members present. Alejandro?
Approved.
Approve.
David? Oh, did we lose David?
David had to leave because his class started. He just wanted to be here for as long as he could.
Perfect, perfect, great. Omari?
Approved.
Excellent. Approved. Grace, on advanced PowerPoint, will now consider our next action item regarding updating the selection process and the public art guidelines. I'm going to pass it off to Public Art Project Coordinator Trey Harden for a presentation on the initiative.
Thank you, Nikki. And Nikki, thank you so much for serving with us these past couple of years, and we wish you well in Mississippi.
Hey, Trey,
I know if you go to, sorry, go ahead.
May I interrupt you really quickly to say Trey is no longer a project coordinator, but a project manager now. So he's such a rock star. He got a fancy new title.
Thank you. But sorry, there's like awkward silence now. Nikki, I was gonna say you should check out Stamps Burgers in Jackson, Mississippi. But anyways, thank you guys for being here today. Today we are proposing 3 changes to our public art guidelines. These changes are specifically in the selection panel section of the guidelines. Just to give you some background, and I think in our last PAC meeting, we brought to you the idea of looking at Cassie Gardner Senior Park in terms of selection process and trying to do a few things that are different, that allows us to kind of give more input on that process on the front end. So in order to do that, there are a couple of changes that we would need to make to our guidelines regarding the panelists and their responsibilities. So I will present those to you today. So the proposed changes, the first one is to allow for up to 11 members. Currently, the guidelines say that we, sorry, I will show you the updated guidelines, but currently it allows 5 to 9. We will also clarify the language that requires one panelist to be a member of the community in which the project occurs. This language has kind of already been in the guidelines, but when we were going through it, it was a little bit unclear. So we just wanted to make sure that we clarify that. And then we're also providing an additional panelist responsibility. So I will cue to Grace to go to the next slides, and we'll kind of explain within the document what those changes are. So you'll see in the composition section of the selection panel, we're just adding, instead of 5 to 9, it's now 5 to 11. And then we also added that at least one member of the panel must be a current resident from the community in which the project will be located. I think we were going back and forth about community member, but I think resident gives us a way of verifying that they live in that community. And I think at very least we should be able to accomplish that. So those are the main changes to that section. And then Grace, if you'll go to the next slide. These are the responsibilities that the selection panelists have, and we added that number 6. If needed, provide community input to identify specific goals and criteria for the project. So by adding this, it allows us to kind of have communication with our panelists before we release the call to artists. In this situation, that might inform the goals or criteria for the project to better align them with the community. So these are just kind of minor changes that we're proposing today. Grace, if you'll go to the next slide. These are minor changes that we're proposing today just to kind of clear the path so we can come back to you all next month and present our selection process for Kasi Gardner Senior Park. And I know we're kind of starting to look at a few minor changes, but this has kind of also encouraged us to think about looking at the public art guidelines as a whole, just because, you know, they only get updated every so often. So we've been thinking within the team, Van has been kind of leading this discussion about possibly attacking the public art guidelines as a whole. So that's something that, not attacking, I don't mean that.
It will be attacking because they are 10 years old, and when you read it, some of it, we are a little horrified, the language that's used. Trey and I were picking through as we were preparing for this, and I think it is, it's gonna be an ongoing initiative, and we want to work really closely with our public art committee on those changes and identifying that, but I think we need to have an organized process for doing that. And so at this stage, we're really trying to think about, okay, if we are doing a larger kind of editing process, how do we make it as seamless as possible and make best use of our time, public art committee's time, and the other resources available to us.
And just to add, I didn't really kind of explain the additional panel members. We know that 9 to 11, 11 gets to be kind of a lot. We have experienced situations where, you know, I think in our last panel, 2 people couldn't show up on the last date, so you're down numbers, and that kind of changes the situation drastically. There are also a number of other project partners and people who are involved with the panel. And once you kind of factor them in, it kind of takes away from the numbers we're able to add from the community. So I think with this project and kind of looking in the future, it gives us the flexibility to kind of get more people from the community involved in the process. So that was kind of our thinking there. So thank you. And we request the PAC's approval for the following proposed changes to the public art guideline. Do I need to reread them? Okay.
We'll get the person who makes the motion to reread them, Trey. Thank you. Are there any questions for the staff regarding this presentation or comments? Okay, seeing none. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Donna, if you wouldn't mind saying your name and reading the motion, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Donna Gilliam, and I would like to make the motion to allow for the panels with up to 11 members, clarifying language requiring that at least one panelist be a member of community in which the project occurs, and additional panelist responsibility. If needed, provide community input to identify specific goals and criteria for the project.
Thank you so much, Donna. Do I have a second? Alejandro?
Alejandro Sierto, this motion.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move through a quick roll call vote on this motion. Alejandro?
Approve.
Donna?
Approve.
Excellent. Omari?
Approve.
Great. And I, Nikki Kaufman, approve. Grace, I'm going to have you move the PowerPoint forward as we now consider our next action item regarding Thrive Public Art Projects. I'm going to pass it off to Strategic Funding and Initiatives Manager Janine Cristiano for a presentation on the initiative.
Hello,
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you, Trey. Thanks, Nikki. I'm going to take a moment to, Nikki, unfortunately, I didn't get to work with you as closely as the rest of the folks on Public Art Committee, but I just want to say you will definitely be missed. I've always appreciated your humor and spirit in all the commission meetings, as well as your support and understanding of restorative justice and racial equity issues related to art and the importance of that. So thank you so much, and you will certainly be missed. Also want to commend Matthew for that great presentation, so exciting. I can't wait till it comes into fruition, so bravo all around. All right, and so with that, as Nikki said, my name is Janine Cristiano. I'm the Strategic Funding and Initiatives Manager. Also from that team, I have Marissa LaRoe here, who is our newest member, and she is our Program and Evaluation Coordinator, and she'll will be co-presenting some of the Thrive projects. So in case you didn't know, I'll just briefly overview Thrive. So Thrive is a funding program that connects artists and organizations with the community to create neighborhood investments and transformations. I'll just read this here. By offering funding opportunities outside the traditional grants process and also the traditional public art commission process, Thrive empowers artists and organizations to build, strengthen, and cultivate communities in Davidson County. And in practice, how that kind of emerges in the community is that typically artists that are emerging, haven't established as many connections yet, or they're developed projects yet, are able to get this initial funding and work on their career, work on their portfolio. This has led, Thrive funding has led to public art commissions, grant funding. We do view it as a little bit of a pipeline project. It's also a way for community organizations who don't necessarily use art as their, as part of their main mission, however, value the impact of the art and would like to work with artists. So it's been really exciting, great way to activate and engage lots of different communities throughout Nashville, Davidson County. So yeah, we're very proud of this program. All right, next slide. So the first proposal for your consideration is the Black Lives Matter Movement Coalition Mural. The applicant and partners are Grace Gadsden, who is the project lead, Thaxton Waters II, who's the lead artist, and John Smith and Brenda Ross. The proposed community partners are the organizations associated with the folks mentioned. So John Smith Marketing, Our Revolution Nashville and Middle Tennessee, and Tennessee Alliance for Progress. So the project is a street mural reading Black Lives Matter. This project is a monument to reclaiming space for the Black community within the boundaries of unrewarded tax payment and invisibility in the metropolitan area. While the mural is a temporary installation, its short span of existence is meant to instill motivation to inspire a greater trust to reclaim equity in Nashville. The proposed award amount is $9,500. It was contingent, so it is contingent on approval from Public Works, and we did recently, just as of yesterday, receive word that their street closure permit has been approved. So that's really exciting. So that's a go. Their maintenance and budget plan is bi-weekly for an hour, and of course as needed. The duration will be so they'll begin, if funded, they'll begin soon. It will go until January 24th or later if they can fundraise and support that. I'll actually pause now just to give you a highlight of, or just to give you additional context on just your role and what you're looking at for these Thrive projects. With your public art expertise, we would love you to think about feasibility, also alignment with public art criteria and the guidelines. If approved, these projects will then go with other Thrive projects that were not public art related tomorrow to the Grants and Funding Committee. Grants and Funding Committee will consider various allocation scenarios, and we'll make funding decisions then to be finally approved by the commission at the next commission meeting. So just to give you context, feasibility and also alignment with public art criteria. Okay, next slide, please. Right, and the location that's been selected is Woodland Street between 2nd Street and Interstate Drive. And then the street, as I said, the street closure permit has been approved. So that is a go-ahead. All right, next slide. And I'm going to hand the presentation over to Marissa LaRoe to present on this next project.
Thanks, Janine. Hi, everyone. My name is Marissa LaRoe. I'm the Program and Evaluation Coordinator here. I've been helping with Thrive. The next project for you to consider is the Pikes Project Poetry Billboard in South Nashville. So this is a collaboration between an artist, Joe Nolan, who's the project lead and the lead artist, and the organization Workers' Dignity. The contact there is Cecilia Prado. So what Joe's going to do is lead an online poetry workshop with essential workers through Workers' Dignity that will result in a collaborative poem that they will then display on a billboard in South Nashville. So he's going to hold the poetry workshops in English and Spanish using two-step translation with translators provided by Workers' Dignity to make sure that his words are translated into Spanish, and then the participants' words will be translated back into English just to make sure the communication is very clear. He'll lead the participants through poetry writing workshops, and then together they will design a poem that will be in English and in Spanish and displayed on the billboards in English and in Spanish, again, using that two-step translation process. The proposed award amount is $9,500. And the maintenance plan and budget is more straightforward here. The billboard company is responsible for maintenance and removal as part of the rental fee. It will be up for 1 month. And the exact location of the billboard is going to be determined after funding, as you'll see on the next slide. Thank you so much. But they're going to have it in South Nashville on Thompson Lane or Nolansville Pike. And then the other example image you see there is an example of a previous billboard project that was conducted in April. And it's a similar model, but we're considering it for approval for Thrive funding this time because he's moved it to a different location, different neighborhood, different community. But that's an example of what a previous collaborative poem project looks like there on the left. So yeah, I'll hand it back to Janine then to talk about the next Thrive project.
Great. The next project we have here is the Welcoming Mural. And the partners, the applicant and partners is are Leah Hashinger, who works for Turk, the Tennessee Immigrant Refugee Rights Coalition, and Woke3, who is the lead artist. They also have several other additional community members or community partners. The site will be the Turk headquarters. So the project summary, Turk is seeking, Turk and Woke3 are seeking funding for a 1,400 square foot large scale mural that will be on the wall of the newly constructed headquarters in the heart of an immigrant community, the immigrant community along Antioch Pike. It's a huge warehouse space. It'll be covered with lots of murals on the grounds, lots of art. As stated here, 8 commissioned works of art altogether. It's going to be vibrant, a gathering space. Woke3's concept depicts a family being held by 2 different hands, representing Turk's members and allies. The hands have or will be surrounded by flowers and butterflies. We do have a rendering on the next slide, and these are symbols of peace or migration, transformation, rebirth, and also Turk Turk is very supportive of Woke3. Proposed award amount $9,500. This will be included. Their maintenance will be included as just part of their annual operating maintenance budget. So this is they're very well aware of the maintenance that will need to take place for this work, and it'll be an ongoing permanent part of their headquarters. All right, next slide, please. And as you can see here, so this is the sample rendering of the mural with the family being held, the butterflies, the flowers on the side of the building. You'll also see some previous work by Woke3, that have been funded through Learning Lab and also previous Thrive cycles. We also have the image of the location where there is current construction happening. If funded, they will begin right away with portraits and renderings. You have the in the full applications, you'll have the timeline, and that shows like they'll be beginning the portraits and more detailed renderings specific to the space, and hope to be to complete everything by early next year. All right, and so that is the welcoming mural. The next project, the final project for your consideration right now is the Creative Girls Mural, Creative Girls Rock Mural. The applicant and partners are Sharman Bates, who's the project lead, and Elishaba Israel Mrazik, who's the lead artist. Proposed community partners include One Ink Tattoo, the Equity Alliance, Boys and Girls Club of Middle Tennessee, the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Vanderbilt, Belmont, Tribeca, TSU, Fisk, and Fisk Art Program. So lots of support in the community. And so the project summary is to create a unified message mural that aligns with Creative Girls Rock and their mission and initiatives, symbolizing empowerment, female empowerment, women empowerment, youth development, mental health, and creative arts, also voting rights and supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. And this will be, a collaborative process where they develop the final design together with multiple artists. The proposed award amount is $9,500. The maintenance plan is in development with the final location owner, and public art staff is available to continue to assist this process, just what would be appropriate for the maintenance of this project. The duration will be 6 months. All right, next slide, please. And so these are some sample images by the artist Elisa Atoll and also Elishaba Mrazik. And so again, they'll work together, develop a concept, and produce that on the wall of the Marathon Villages at 1305 Clinton Street. All right, next slide. So I'll read this and then I believe I pass it back to Nikki, but staff requests the Public Art Committee approval of the proposed Thrive projects, Black Lives Matter Movement Coalition mural, the Pikes Project Poetry Billboard in South Nashville, the Welcoming mural at the Turk headquarters, and the Creative Girls Rock mural at 13th and Church, the Marathon Villages. So with that, I'll hand it back to Nikki for questions and giving it back.
Thank you so much, Janine. Are there any questions for staff regarding this presentation? Okay, seeing none, we can move forward. If anyone would like to propose a motion to this effect, please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Alejandro?
I, Alejandro Sierta, will like to make a motion to approve these proposed Thrive projects.
Thank you, Alejandro. Do I have a second?
Omari Booker, I second.
Thank you, Omari. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Alejandro?
Approve.
Donna?
Approve.
Omari?
Approve.
And I, Nikki Kaufman, approve.
Great. Thank you so much.
Janine, thank you. Ray, Marissa, thank you, everybody. Van, any other business to attend to?
We do have one other slide, if we can advance that, Grace. Okay, program projects, it's actually a trick. So if you have to leave, of course you can leave. But if you have a minute and you haven't filled out a survey or a poll about your availability, Grace would be so grateful to talk about that and knock it out. So maybe you don't even have to fill it out. Maybe Grace can just get all that information now. But that's my decoy slide to tee up Grace. But before we do that, thank you, Nikki. Thank you. And I'm sad and I'm happy at the same time.
Van, I'm gonna miss you. I'm gonna miss everybody on public art. I am grateful to all of you for all of your efforts to move our equity work and our art practice